Live.
All right.
All right, everybody, how y'all doing? So, Ghost Prepper is on his way. He'll be here in just a little bit. Got a few things going on, and so anyway, I have a special guest with me tonight. Goes by Cheshire Cat, and she is a very good person I've known for a really, really, really long time, and on the YouTube community here, and probably there's a lot of y'all that might not know who she is, and but y'all gonna like her, I promise. She's good people, and so would you like to say hi there, Miss Cheshire?
Hello, everyone.
Hello. So, like I said, Ghost will be here in a few. He was running a little bit late, had a couple of things going on, so it is what it is. Anyway, so tonight, we were gonna discuss a few things about the aspects, different aspects of people and attitudes and things like that. Y'all know that I really enjoy doing the mental aspect of things, making people think and and all that. So I want to start out here by saying hello to everyone. Cashew, Homestead, Hutch Homestead, Trust in God, Joe Morgan, Kicking It Homestead. There's Ghost. Let me add him. Um, what's up, Ghost? Susanna, Japet, Joe, Lil B. Oh, looky there. CB's daughter, Prep for It, Moonlight Gypsy. Hello, hello, everybody. Hello, Sherry Leach, Sandra Moody. How's it going? Comrade Radio, what's up? Dusty Data, thank you so much, brother, for the super chat. Y'all are awesome. This community is awesome. Robin, Doc P, Virginia Roots, Bug Dude, what's up? Bug Dude, what's up? So anyway, like I said, we were I was gonna start off also by talking about accident that I had Friday, and I have to admit something right here online, right here on the live in front of everybody. Y'all are going to be the first to hear it, besides my wife. So I went out there. My buddy called me and he's like, "Hey man, you know, go hit a yard real quick." He said, "I got this yard. It shouldn't take but about a couple of hours." Said, we want to get it, wanted to get this knocked out real quick. So I was like, "Sure, man, let's run over there." So I just grabbed my little quick bag that I got and throwed a couple of little snack and stuff in there real quick. Went up there, started weed eating. Man, this yard hadn't been done yet this year. I mean, the grass is, some of it's like ankle. Like waist deep. And so I'm going around this porch and I'm trying to get this stuff weed eated down and get all the stuff knocked down. And I stumbled on something. It ended up being a rock that somebody had placed there, and I didn't see it well enough and stepped on it, and it turned. And when it did, I went to fall, so I stuck my hand down, and when I did, I stuck my hand right down on the porch, which had an old rail with some rusty screws sticking right up. And I stuck my hand right there, stuck a screw way deep in my hand right there. And it freaking hurt. And so I start, bleeding it, making it bleed real good. And I went around there and it dawned on me, I don't have a first aid kit. I made a mistake. So I asked old boy, I was like, "You got a first aid kit in your truck?" And he's like, "No." So I'm sitting up there, we're way up out in the middle of nowhere with no first aid kit. Bad mistake. Bad mistake on my part. And I can promise you it won't happen again, but I wanted to admit that to everybody. But anyway, so He did have some hand sanitizer that was mostly, it's mostly alcohol. And I went over there and cleaned it with some bottled water that we have, and kept squeezing it, making it bleed, and then stuffed that hand sanitizer down in there. So what I did was when I got home, obviously cleaned it real well and everything. And so what? Anyway, so I went and went to the Wally Worlds, and I went and built me a first aid kit myself that I thought would be useful out there, and for the weed eating and stuff. And it's just and I got it in a little tool bag. Now Wally World has these little tool bags, a little 12-inch tool bag, and it costs $5. And I stuffed it full of bandages and ointments and bug uh, bite stuff, sting relief. I even bought a snake bite kit to put in it because we are tromping around in some pretty heavy weeds and stuff. So anyway, that was kind of one of the things I wanted to talk about first, was about having these med kits and so forth. And you know just even if it's just throw a med kit in your vehicle. This was a little deal. He's just going to run up there 2 hours and be back home. That's where some of us, and I'm guilty of it as well, as obviously from Friday, is, man, you go out there and you're what? Man, I'm just going for a couple of hours. I'm just going to be gone for 30 minutes. No big deal. You don't really think. Get you a little backpack or a little some type of something that either you can leave in your car, or if, like on that deal, I wasn't even in my vehicle. So get you a little something that if you do go riding with somebody, man, you can just bounce right, little small pack, got some little things in it, some little EDC stuff, and everyday carry stuff, and make sure that you have this stuff on there. Cheshire, you kind of know what I mean on that.
Yep.
I mean, that, I'm telling you, it hurts. It still hurts because it went deep into my hand. And my hand is sore as all get out. And
How long has it been since you've had a tetanus shot?
about 6 years.
Okay, you're still good.
Yeah, it's been about 6 years because I stepped on a rusty nail.
Yeah.
And it had been about 9 years at that point, and a doctor was like, you're probably okay, but let's just go ahead and give you one anyway. And so I got the booster tetanus shot.
Yeah, that would be the only thing in that situation that I'd really be concerned about. Other than that, I think it'll heal nicely. So just keep it clean, and your body will do the rest.
Right on. Yeah, that was one of the things, that tetanus, it's it can be fatal. The locked jaw and everything, it can cause breathing problems. Your jaw will actually lock into place, and it could lock with, could you imagine having to walk around with your mouth open all the time? But I mean, it can affect your breathing and everything. So, everybody out there, with the SHTF stuff going on, with everything that we see going on, and we're worried about these new lockdowns and these rules and regulations and crap that they're wanting to do. It might be something everybody needs to check into. And I got the regular one, Professor. I I don't like all them nanos and things and all that. But yeah, it might be something you want to go check into, about how long it's been since you had a tetanus shot. And, if it's been several years, it might not hurt to go get another one. Just
Typically it's every decade. So every 10 years
right,
you need a
right,
booster shot, but they'll give you a booster shot if it's been 7 to 8 years and you know are exposed to uh, like getting a puncture with a rusty nail or something like that, they'll typically give you your booster just to be sure.
Right. Ghost, you didn't ever get any shots when you was in the military, did you?
Never, not one.
Bunches of them, huh?
Oh yeah. You want to know something? This is really weird. I'm searching for your mother laptop on YouTube, and it's not even registering your stream.
Really?
Yeah. I'm clicking the live button, and it's not showing your live at all.
Huh. Well, that's about par. I know it's on because I'm sitting here watching it.
Yeah, this is my third time. Okay, there we go. Nope. Upset us. It's not showing your live at all.
Prepping 101 said that happened to him last night.
Literally.
But so anyway,
I'm a subscriber now. I'm gonna have to go up top, and even though I know you're live, I'm gonna have to go up to the search window and type in your channel name to see if I can find it.
I know they do that. I mean, I've had to do that with yours before when we were going live on yours. Actually, go to your channel and anyway. So what we got some good people in here and wanted to kind of talk about excuse me, wanted to talk about our people different now in their actions. And we've kind of where I wanted to go with that was just talk about the different things of the attitudes and everything with people and the things that we are seeing, and just kind of dive into it and see if we can't figure out, how to keep ourselves from being broke down into a bad a bad mental way. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of stuff out there that is it's not hard to get down. You know what I mean? To get down mentally, man. To get worn out, to get beat down. It's not hard at all. So, we're gonna discuss some of that stuff tonight. So, Cheshire, would you like to start out with anything, or kind of follow up on that?
Do you kind of have an area where you would like to start, like maybe an example of an area where people are breaking down?
Well, what I would really like to do is start out with saying that confidence, optimism, sincerity, um, reliability are traits that represent positive attitude. Hatred, pessimism, resentment, doubt, they're all traits that represent a negative attitude. Indifference or detachment are actually traits that represent a just a neutral attitude. You know, one of the things kind of where I wanted to kind of start out with is basically just because two people disagree, it doesn't mean that one of you is right and one of you is wrong, or you're both wrong or you're both right. Kind of an example of this is, like here in the prepping community, for instance, a lot of us, we're gardening, we're doing this, we're doing that, and some people say to do it this way, some people say to do it this way, some people, but the fact of it is what works best for you, and if you've been doing something a certain way, and it works, I mean, am I actually wrong for not doing it the way that you do it? And one of the good examples of this, of what I want to kind of bring this up, is if you will take and paint a number 6 just on the ground, just put a number 6 and have one person stand on one end of it and one person stand on the other end of it, and tell me what you see. One of you is going to see a number 9 and one of you is going to see a number 6, but does that mean you're both wrong? You know what I'm saying? you're actually both right.
Would you maybe say that there has been a rise in trait narcissism in our society?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got an uptick in, well, definitely narcissistic personality disorder and probably borderline personality disorder. So we've had an uptick in what we would describe as cluster B antisocial personality disorders in the United States. How do you think that started? And the reason I'm asking is because, what you're describing is one person is right and one person's wrong, but we're starting to flirt with the ideas that maybe both the person can see a number 6 and both the person can see a number 9 and be correct, and it's all true simultaneously depending on what angle you're looking at. But what we're talking about is one is saying I am right and you are wrong, and the other is saying no, I am right and you are wrong. So what we're describing here are zero-sum games that are arising out of, well, cluster B thinking. But we would have to start going into how cluster Bs are made. So maybe we can throw out or start getting into something that is starting to be studied and a little bit more well understood, which is the concept of enmeshment. And I think that it's starting in family structures.
Right.
So where children are basically not being raised as independent people, or that people that are going to break off of their parents and become grown independent adults in their own right. But there's something called enmeshment, which basically the children are being raised up as an extension of either their parents or an authority figure. They're starting to lose their sense of selves, and it's starting to really impede their ability to function as independent beings in society at large. And if you even take a look at the construction of these different personality types, it would make them more susceptible to agreeing to being ruled over for the sense of safety over the sense of freedom.
Right. What's your thoughts on all that, Ghost?
That was some big words for a simple people like me. I mean, wow. When I look at society today, from my point of view, and especially on any of your online media and mainstream media, you keep hearing this term wokeness. They're woke, which implies that they learned something or figured something out, or they've evolved thinking wise. But that's the biggest oxymoron I've ever heard in my life, because if you look at these woke people, they've actually taken a backward step in evolution when it comes to thinking for yourself and being able to use creative reasoning and different thought processes to figure problems out. They're classifying wokeness as people that have basically shut down half of their brain, and only either they have one point of view, and it seems to be a centralized point of view that seems to be programmed into them, a certain way to think and a certain way to answer things instead of thinking for themselves. So to me, wokeness is absolutely the opposite of wokeness. And that's in popular culture today. That's just like a collective way of thinking, and it reminds me of Star Trek with the Borg.
Hey, Ghost, would you maybe say that wokeness is probably the newest religion that has come upon the stream? And I mean, it almost has a fanatic kind of a flavor to it.
Easily. It reminds me of the Borg,
Yeah.
They've been assimilated, through this mainstream media and predictive teaching. I mean, they've been programmed to think a certain way. They've been hand selected, picked, and trained when to say yes, how to say yes, who's right, who's wrong. And they've been trained to react aggressively to anybody that has a different opinion. They won't even debate you on the fact. They just start screaming in the street and throwing stuff.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the whole thing, I like to try to think of a lot of this stuff, that we do here in the prepping community, for instance. I like to try to think of it and put myself into thinking about it like a football team. All right. Now, if you take a football team for an example, their job is to score points and to keep the other team from scoring points, to win the game. Okay. So the thing about it is their job is to, there's different aspects of a football team, right? So you've got your defense, your offense, you've got third down special running backs that are just made for third downs. You got, and the object is to keep moving the ball down the field and getting that touchdown. And they may have 70, 80 different ways to do this. And I like to think about the fact of it's all still one goal, and that's to win the game, and for us, it's to survive. And that's why I keep harping on the preparing your mind thing, because even in a football game, these people mentally prepare to go out there, and it takes a mental toughness. It does the same thing with prepping, and it also does the same thing with everyday life. You have to be mentally tough when you face these woke people. You know what I'm saying? It comes in, and you're like, man, sometimes you don't even know how to deal with these people. And I think that learning some of the reasons why they do these things, and going through the whole aspect of, these people, there's a lot of people out there, and they think that it's their way or the highway. And they, like Ghost said, just the minute that you disagree, or they find out you're not just like them, they want to start attacking you nowadays. And people are actually getting not just mental, verbally attacked anymore. Today, they're starting to really physically attack people, and they're doing it more and more.
It's a zero-sum game.
Right.
It's basically, you will accept our woke religion, or we will attack you and terrorize you and destroy you and violate you in every way we possibly can figure out to violate you. Because of our woke religion, and because you're not a believer of our woke religion, you are no longer a human being, and we are stripping you of that status. You can see the dehumanization everywhere.
Yeah.
This is definitely trait narcissism, and it's definitely, I would say, psychopathy at every level.
Yeah. The term attitude, it refers to an individual's mental state. And if you think about it, it does. It refers to a person's mental state. They're of what kind of attitude they're going to have, which it's based on his or her beliefs or value system, emotions and tendencies to act in a certain way. One's attitude reflects how one thinks, feels, and behaves in a given situation. Now let's think about that. Last week on my show, I keep talking about the mind being the most important thing, to prep. And I mean, everything else is great, but you've got to have a prepared mind, man. You've got to be mentally prepared. Um, that's where all your knowledge is stored, in your mind. That's where, you know, your attitude towards life, your towards living, towards prepping. It all matters, about the attitude that you have. Do you just sit around and watch doom and gloom, and get depressed? Is everything around you, do you see it as a no-win situation? How do you go about your daily life? How do you approach situations? How, you know do you see them things in that kind of way? How do you stay mentally prepared? Back
Well,
us.
historically, situations like this have never ever ended well. When they start to devolve into zero-sum games, it's where wars start. So the question is are we going to be able to do this the right way? Is this going to be something that we're going to be able to de-escalate out of, or is it something that's going to end in secession and war? We don't know yet. We've never made it past this. Every historical cycle that we've ever been through where we've dealt with this has always ended in war. No exceptions.
Well, obviously, Mom asked, how do I stay mentally prepared? For me, and I'm not pushing any. I don't push anything at all on anybody. I am fully for everyone having the right to choose to do what they want to do, you know, and how they do things. But how I prepare, one is I read the Bible. I believe in God. I believe I believe what the Bible says. The Bible tells us of all this stuff. Another way that I mentally prepare is I like to look at things, and I look upon some of these articles and stuff. I don't watch mainstream media news. I look through news articles, and pick and choose what I want to read. Kind of like Ghost in that aspect of, if it's over there in Kuwait and some bomb went off and it was this, and I mean, I'm sorry for them people and everything, but that doesn't affect me right now. If it's a natural disaster that's coming my way, um, that's obviously something that I'm going to be paying attention to. If it's something about taxes, or in my area, something about the Second Amendment, So how I mentally prepare is I look at these things, and I think about, how do I go about this situation? I'm going to hit it head on. I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to stay focused, and I'm going to go in, and I tell myself there's always a freaking solution. There's always a solution. I never look at a situation and say, well, this will never happen. There's always a solution. Ghost.
It's man, it's a catch-22 dealing with what we got going on now, because these are the first generation ADHD riddling kids. These are the first generation of kids that they were bad in school. They weren't disciplined. They were just given a handful of pills, or they changed the curriculum to suit the child's attitude, and that attitude spread throughout all of them. And I mean, this is the first generation of medicated adults, and it's normal for them to be medicated. It's normal every time you have the smallest issue in your life, they invent a new disease for you. I mean, I was around before they invented ADHD. Okay, I was around way before they invented it, and I'm pretty sure if I would have been diagnosed with ADHD, if I would have, if I would have had parents or teachers that were scared to discipline me, and they needed a medical reason to blame why they couldn't be a good parent. I when I grew up, I mean, you're misbehaving in class, yelling, screaming, running around, acting stupid. I got whooped, and you know what? The attitude didn't change, but I learned where and when to act that way. I learned to be able to respect other people in public. I learned to have my opinion and respect other people's opinions. I don't have that now. These adults grew up getting their way no matter what. I mean, all you got to do is just stomp your feet, smack the desk and scream and yell and hold your breath till your face turns blue, and all of a sudden everybody gives you what you want. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. And I mean, how do you deal with it? Well, change something when you're talking about an entire generation, an entire collective people that have never had to change their mind. They've never been shown another way. They were pre-programmed and allowed to bitch, moan, and scream until they got their way about every single thing in their life. So how are you going to change them as adults when it's the only way they got to where they are now is by being that way? It's the only accepted way to behave in their world. So I mean, how do you change it? I don't think you can.
You can't. Your neuroplasticity is pretty much over by the time you're the age of 25.
can't change it. You can't. I mean, you can get them to your will, but that doesn't change their opinion and the way that they're going to act. So, I mean, how do you
No.
change it? Especially when now they've invaded, all levels of the government. They've invaded social media. They've invaded mainstream media. I mean, they've completely, basically, it is cancer. It's literally cancer.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that so dangerous. One of the things that you need to understand is having that positive attitude, not wearing your feelings on your sleeve, not letting the things get you down. You know, you know, uh, people people out there. You have to understand that people out there, there are people that will just decide they don't like you. There are people out there that has these negative ways about them. This is called a toxic person. And you know we don't have to get into all this toxic masculinity and toxic this and toxic that. I'm just talking about toxicity on a level that it when you're around one of these people all the time, it actually affects you mentally. It can actually um, make you moody. It can change your mood into bad. It can actually affect you physically. And I'm talking like have start having problems. I mean, this is something that is I mean, it's a proven fact. you know Go ahead. um it can definitely affect your productivity, because you get in a bad mood. You listen to some of these people, and they're just all the time, they're just, oh, everything's horrible, oh, it's all terrible, it's terrible, it's terrible. It can bring you down, and you get to dwelling on that, and you're like, man, um I mean, you just start getting down. So one of the things that you know these people, they like to seek special treatment. They like to seek special attention. you know um what makes these people do these things, Cheshire? What is something that, why do these people, what makes them beat down all the time, to complain about everything, to you know what actually would cause something like that?
My guess is they were raised up in such a way that they probably do have some kind of a personality or a cluster B affliction. Some of
Mhm.
the things that go along with cluster B personality disorders is extremely manipulative behavior. So, I mean, it's hard to tell whether these people are manipulative or whether because a lot of them also do not have, I would say, good skills in emotional regulation, but at the same time, they're manipulative. So
Right.
many a times, what they will try to do is they will try to emotionally manipulate you into giving them what they want. If they can't emotionally manipulate you, they'll become extremely explosive and try to absolutely, like, the gloves come off and they overtly become very abusive until you give them what you want. They may even physically attack you or beat on you or hurt you if you don't give them what they want. So this is all a part of cluster B personality disorders. And the most explosive behavior, narcissists are a little bit different, but you would find this behavior quite often in like a borderline personality. And what's interesting is that there's been an uptick of narcissism, but there's also been an uptick of borderline personality disorder. And these guys are even more explosive than narcissists. Narcissists are kind of more closer on the spectrum of somebody who has ASPD or antisocial personality disorder. It's kind of more closer to the spectrum of sociopathy and psychopathy than borderline. Although a borderline person could also exhibit traits of antisocial or what they call secondary psychopathy. But I think it's a combination of the inability to emotionally regulate, and then probably also a combination of them emotionally blackmailing people into getting their way, so they don't have to employ overtly abusive methods of getting their needs met.
Right on. Ghost.
It's the whole situation. I mean, there was a really good video that was made about it, and it defines everything. And it was an accidental, awesome video. And it was watching the aftermath from the 2016 election on live news media at little Miss Hillary's campaign center, when everybody was just screaming and crying and yelling and going into the streets and stomping their feet. And, he's not my president. And they were just pissed. It was kids that were used to, oh, T-Man didn't hand out any participation trophies that day. And it just broke their little hearts. It was just horrible. And it has exploded from there. I mean, it was always, it's been here for years. It's been growing and gaining momentum. And that was like the pivot point. Oh my goodness, the angry old white man won the election, and not the woman, because we need a woman president. Well, why do we need a woman president? We just need a competent president. I don't care if it's male, female, black, white, Asian, whatever. I don't care. Competent president. If it was a female, absolutely, I'm behind that 100%. I actually think it would do us a lot of good to have a female in office, just simply to get that perspective and maybe calm people down sometimes. But I haven't seen a candidate yet that was for the job. Now, does that mean if I don't agree with the one that's been put forth by the machine that says this is our candidate, this female, and I want a female candidate, now I'm obligated to support her just because she doesn't have a penis? No, that's the wrong answer. It's got to be the right person for the job. And that hope was dashed in 2016, and now all of a sudden, boom, everybody's woke, and you're demonized and criminalized for having a different opinion. And it's not that they disagree with you; they literally target you. Like, once you do something that is against their belief system, if you want to call it a belief system, like, you're literally a permanent target. You're gonna have pictures and videos on the TV. How dare you do this? How dare you fly a Confederate flag in your yard? And then you're targeted by not just one person. Now they bring, a couple, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people to bear, and it's like the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. See, and this kind of falls into some stuff. When we speak of freedom, and you automatically, the first thing you think of is man, is freedom to go outside, to the freedom to be able to go to the store, the freedom to be able to go do what you want and everything. But they're actually, the real part of freedom is actually psychological freedom, because the things that they are trying to do to us, is they're trying to psychologically, by they're trying to psychologically take away your freedom by taking away your physical freedom. Do you see what I'm saying? By scaring you to death, by trying to convince you that you need to do this, to convince you that you need to do that. We know what's best for you. That is a form that they use to break you down mentally, to get you to agree to what they want you to do, and having that psychological freedom is the real freedom, because if they say, you can't go nowhere right now, it can get you down. It can work on your mind. But if you have got your mind prepared in a certain way, that, what, instead of looking at it as bad, well, I can't go to the store, I can't do this, I can't do that. Instead, if you will look at it as an opportunity, hey, you know what, I've got that project at home that I really need to work on, I'm going to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's going to give me more time in my garden. you know what? That's going to give me more time with my family. I know that might be a bad thing for some people. It's like, man, I got to spend all this time with my old lady or my old man. I understand, but you know, really and truly, that's the real freedom, is having that freedom of the mind, to know that no matter what they try to do to you, I'm going to make it good. I'm going to do good. You know,
I would suggest people studying Stoicism. The idea of Stoicism is how to be free in an unfree, I guess, in an unfree environment.
society.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what I've studied, Stoicism, and doing inner work. And, realizing that freedom really is within myself. It's really not anything anybody can take away from me. There's nothing these people can take from me. Absolutely nothing. I'm going to die anyway someday, so they can't take my life from me. They certainly can't take my voice. They can't take my thoughts. I am never going to agree with them, like, ever. They will never force me to. These people have no power. I mean, once we start realizing and we start rising up as the majority that we are, because the majority certainly does not think this way,
Mm-hmm.
the moment that we rise up and stop putting up with it, it'll be over. All of it.
Right. Exactly. That's one of the real, the things, that you can do, with the psychological freedom is basically we experience when we recognize our weakness and bad habits, and instead of wallowing in self-pity, strap them boots on, and we exercise our own autonomy in pursuit of a better life. And this form of freedom is so absent today, because it goes back to what everybody, what they've been trying to do is to do it as a collective, and instead of they want to take the individual away, you know and they
That's
do
something
a
they're
lot.
never going to accomplish. I don't care how hard they try.
Right. But they do make a lot of progress with a lot of people on this.
That is an illusion. You have to understand that is a mirage. We are free, guys. We are.
Right.
If you don't believe we are, then we're not. But I believe we are. We are.
Well, and so some of the ways that I think that people, that how they deal with a lot of things these days is, they go into, addictions, compulsions, um, other self-sabotaging behaviors. Um, it keeps one locked in a mental prison, and it hinders your ability to flourish when you buy into a lot of this stuff that's going on. You know, you 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 start to think about it, and you see all this stuff and you buy into it. I just seen where they're talking about, I've got to be careful, obviously, that of what I say, but I seen where they're talking about over in Vietnam. There's a new strain that's like worse than anything we've seen, and it's airborne, is what
Yeah,
they're saying.
I totally believe them. And besides, wasn't COVID-19 airborne to begin with? So, okay. And
Right. Well, but see, it's one of them psychological warfares that they are doing to people to try to get you down, to get you scared, to scare you into exist, to do what they want you to do.
well, I'm going to throw something out there. I believe it was Seneca who said this, but Seneca said, Whatever causes you fear rules you. So whatever you're afraid of out there, it's going to be that overarching fist waving above your head for the rest of your natural life. If you're
Right.
afraid of the virus for the rest of your life, your fear of the virus will rule you. And in turn, you might actually try to rule other people according to your own fears that are ruling you. If you fear communism, your fear of communism will rule you. You might even do something tyrannical in order to prevent it. If you fear patriotism, that will rule you, and you will try to control anything that even anything that's even patriotic, or you will try to control people who have those ideas that you fear.
Right.
We're living in a society that is fearful, and when there's fear, that's when people are really and of course you can even argue that the reason why people have so many fears anymore is because they do not believe in a higher power. They don't have a faith that there is a higher power, that things will be okay, or maybe their life is going the way that it needs to go. There's this overarching idea out there that we are not meant to suffer, which is completely untrue. I mean, if you even take a look at a gem or a diamond, you can't polish a gemstone without friction. Now, a diamond is not made without time, heat, and pressure. If that diamond could feel, or that lump of coal could feel, that would probably be painful. There is no such thing as a life without pain and a life without hardship. It is how we grow, it is how we become, and how we develop. So there's a lot of really obnoxious ideas out there that I think are artificial,
Mm-hmm.
and it's doing a lot more harm than good. Trying to remove hardship and stuff out of life. And by the way, getting sick and viral pandemics is a fact of life. It has been a fact of life since the inception of humans. It will be a fact of life down in the future. It's a fact of life now. The idea that we need to control other people because of our fear of getting sick and dying of disease is absolutely abhorrent. It's a fact of life. You can't get away from it. And these people, yeah, these control freaks that are trying to control everything because of, oh my God, there's a new strain in India. Okay, there's going to be some pandemic in another 20 years. There's going to be another pandemic beyond that. That's going to probably, unfortunately, thin out a lot of people. So
Right.
these people are trying to basically control things that cannot be controlled.
Well,
And they can't accept leaving it up to a higher power, whether they are supposed to, whether it may be their time or whether it may not be. I caught COVID and it wasn't my time, guys. I'm fine.
yeah. Well, see, that's one of the things that what I would, this is, with Aussie Mom's question earlier, about preparing your, my mind and everything, how to stay on that good side of things. One of the things that people do is they seek to regain control of their life by moving in a direction which permits us to enjoy life, affirming experience associated with personal growth. This may include finding things you are really good at, canning, for instance, gardening, fishing, whatever it may be, and committing to that pursuit of excellence in these ways. Can help you. Just like coming onto these live streams that are specific to what you're good at and joining in the conversation, and it reaffirms your good works. These are ways that you do things to get yourself away from these bad people. These people that want to just keep you down. And it's just good ways to keep your mind prepared, to stay in a good mood, how to stay in that place. You know what I'm saying? Ghost just sitting over there like.
It's There's no quick fix. There's no one sentence answer to this, and
Right.
it's everybody's fault. I mean, now you basically got to pick sides to survive in this screwed up world. But even our perspective, our point of view, it's all our fault for it getting this way because we raised these kids. We allowed it to happen.
Hmm.
Handfuls of pills 2 or 3 times a day. We said it was okay for them not to play outside, and we went out and spent thousands and thousands of dollars on laptops and video gaming consoles and conditioned air and $250 a month high speed internet bills so our kids can stay online playing these first person video games that are basically active shooter training videos. And, and then you wonder why we got kids the way they are. I mean, look in the mirror, man. I mean, this has been happening for decades, and we've basically sat back and said, well, he's a psychiatrist. Maybe he knows what he's talking about. Let's try the pills. So basically, you're medicating your kids at such a high level, and these are some seriously devastating drugs that literally cause brain damage.
Hmm.
They reprogram how your neurons fire in your brain before your brain has actually matured. I mean, it's like those ladies over in Japan years ago that wore those shoes that had their feet teeny teeny tiny feet, and they sat there with these bands of cloth. Their parents would wrap their feet so tight that their bones would change, and they would literally break the bones in their feet and make them reform this weird looking foot. It's still a foot, but it's not functional. Every single part of that foot is in every other foot on the planet, but it's not functional anymore. Imagine that concept and put it to your children's brains now. And you're looking at a 30-year-old and you're trying to figure out why he's thinking the way he's thinking. Look what you did to him when he was 9. And it's been that way nonstop the entire time. He doesn't understand what you're talking about because this formed around that concept. You can't change it.
Okay, so what happened? When would you say that parents not wanting to properly parent their children to the point of drugging them and putting them in front of video game consoles, when would you say that concept probably started?
I think the seeds to that were planted in the late 60s, mid early 70s.
I
Because I
think
mean
it
that
was planted even earlier than that.
thing. I'm talking about with the technology part and the drug part. Now the
No,
real
but I'm wanting to get deeper into the psychological part as to what triggered women to want to leave the home and work outside of the home where they didn't before. When do you think that started?
that would definitely be
Wasn't it in
before
the
the
60s?
yeah, that'd be definitely before that. I mean, they were triggered in World War II when they were working
World
in the
War II is
in the
what
bomb
triggered women to leave.
planes.
So there were heavy consequences for World War II to us culturally. Because and by the way, I don't want anybody out there thinking that I'm against women, against women's rights, against women's ability to work outside the home. But the situation that was created after World War II, all of the men in the country were sent over to fight overseas, fight Hitler, bring all of that to an end. And the women were left behind and had to leave the home to keep the economy rolling. So the women were working outside of the home, and then after the war, how many women ended up getting stuck in the workforce because their husbands were A, killed and they had 4 children to feed, or B, their husband came home either with his limbs blown off or shell shocked or both? How many women ended up having to leave the work or leave the home permanently because maybe they're, I don't know, maybe they ended up having to leave their husband because he became dangerous because he had PTSD and there were no resources for it, and he became dangerous to her and the children. So there was something that triggered women to get out of the home and stay out of the home. And unfortunately, it hasn't been easy for women, but that started the culture of women working outside of the home. And of course, there was resistance to that because there was a cultural belief that women need to go back inside the home, which is true. A woman's best place is home raising her children, but nothing was the same. It was just something we couldn't go back to. But that was where women got pride outside of the home, and that was where the culture rolled more towards women working outside of the home. And so then what happened? The economy ended up shifting to accommodate that. Wages went down for men and they decreased for women. So now these companies could get 2 workers for the price of 1 by keeping women outside of the home. Now we're in a situation where a married couple needs a 2-person income in order to successfully raise a family of 3 children, if they can afford 3 children without welfare. So it's been a steady decline in that direction. So now we've got men and women wanting to, needing, it's not even a want, it's a need. Both parents need to be outside the home in order to bring home enough money to keep a decent roof over the head, keep the kids in good schools, to feed the kids, to provide the kids all they're going to need in order to be, prepped as adults. But now mom and dad are so exhausted, they don't have time for their kids. So what is the best option? Let's pump them up full of pills to calm them down so they're not bouncing off the walls. And now these kids have abandonment issues because their parents aren't emotionally there for them because they're too exhausted working all day. And then of course video games are babysitters now. So I'm kind of painting a picture of how this ended up cumulatively being destructive to the family. And I'm not blaming men or women. I'm just saying that it was the situation, and that was how men and women adapted to it. Would any of you guys like to take the floor? Do you have any rebuttals or anybody?
I mean, I agree with pretty much 100% of what you just said. The only addition I would like to make to that it was done so smoothly and so quickly. You can't help but look back at it and go, you know what? It was pre-planned, because when the women came into the workforce, the men were off to war. The men come back. The men go back into the workforce. Now these employers have this surplus of employees. So not only did they lower the working wage, the cost of living went up. So if you lower the working wage and the cost of living goes up, and they're pushing prefab homes on everybody, now to function as a member of this new society, you had to have 2 incomes.
That is correct. And Phoenix, it says women's liberation. But my question is, was it really? Were women really liberated?
Still aren't.
Or were they just added to the slave pool?
True.
Well, I mean, you're taking away.
I'll tell you what, I don't enjoy working. And if I ever have children, my top priority would be my children. I would want to be able to stay home full time with my children until they are old enough and independent enough that I could maybe nominally work part time, but then even then I could think about it. But I mean, I don't feel like I have that option as a woman. And it's a ton of stress on the man to be the sole breadwinner. So it's not a good situation that we're in, but I think that this situation that we have found ourselves in with the men and women serving outside of the home is what's caused these younger generations to develop these cluster B personality disorders, where they basically love is shown through material gain, but they've had no emotional upbringing. Mom and dad are gone. Their only babysitters are video games and pills. And of course, people in public school systems that don't care about them.
Here's the really scary part.
Do you know what I mean? That's a scary thought. Imagine being a young person growing up in that.
Imagine this. Imagine being the first generation, the F1s of this new culture that was forced down our throats. Now they're having kids. So you've got damaged goods producing more damaged goods. And then you've got a system that promotes a female having multiple children by multiple different fathers for the purpose of capitalizing on child support, all the help you get from the government, the housing at for $10 a month, the reduced bills. It's actually an industry. It's an industry. I mean, there are young girls right now out there in middle school and high school that is legitimately their plan on what they're going to do when they get out of school, because that's the house that they grew up in. That's how they were brought up, and they heard the comments that mom was saying. And a lot of those moms really didn't want to be moms. You know, it was
Right.
it's
They
an
were just a meal ticket, basically.
exactly, and that's an accepted thing in culture now. It's forced down your throat. Now it's normal. Imagine how those kids are going to turn out. Oh, wait a minute. We don't need to imagine. They're in the street shooting each other for no simple reason, other than the fact that they grew up on these first-person reality video games that was basically a training course for a mass shooting, a casualty event.
Uh-huh.
And you wonder, where did this idea come from? Well, they spend 12 hours a day doing it. It's
Yeah.
reality. Yeah.
It's been degenerating over a long period of time. I'm going to say the last 80 years at least.
Yeah. There is no easy fix.
No.
It's in the
And
blood.
this isn't unique, as we've gone through these cycles before historically. You know, just all you got to do is just open a book.
Well, Rip Curl, do you want to come up? You know, here's the thing that, you know, a lot of this stuff, man, golly, guys, you know, they they have been doing this stuff for a long time. Um, they have been slowly figuring out ways, and you know, all this. Oh, Tiger 454, thank you so much. I raised my daughters as a single mom. My family helped me. Let the family get it down. Well, see, here's the thing, man. A lot of people out there today, you know, I'm gonna agree wholeheartedly with what Cheshire said. You know that we were guilty of it at sometimes. You know, we both of us would come home from work, man. We'd be war freaking out, you know, and you know the kids are running around, and it's like, hey, you know, put in this TV show, you know, this cartoon, you know, they'll enjoy that, and they sit down and they start watching the cartoon, you know, and so you know you can kind of sit back and relax, you know, when we should have been really playing with them, you know, and we saw some of this and did different things, you know, when we were raising our kids. But I mean, they have made these video games out now for that I mean it almost seems real, and you get to playing with your friends, and it's almost like a reality that you're actually there playing that game. You know what I'm saying? You're actually in that game, and you know, you see what I'm saying? They get that attention, and that's where they get that attention from. And you know, the bad thing about it is you may not, you know, you may be trying to teach your kids, you know, no sexual things before marriage, and that kid over there, you know, his parents are like, whatever, you know, um, there ain't no big deal, you know, do what you want to do. And then that kid's talking to your kid, and instead of you, you know, taking the time out, you know, and it's a keeping up with the Jones is what the problem is. You know, everybody's worried about the new cars, the new houses, the new this, the newest phone, the, you know, all the latest greatest stuff, you know. I mean, man, it's really a bad deal for a lot of kids. I don't know where it's Rip. I asked Rip if he wanted to come up. I was trying to pay attention. I didn't see where he said he did.
You know when
Hey, Susie D.
you know when children are having how these problems. This is how you know there's an issue. When you go outside with a kid, not even necessarily your kid, and you point at a hose on a house, and you say, "What is that?" And they say, "A hose." No, you're incorrect, little child. That's a 50-foot extension water fountain. That's where you drink water when you're outside playing. And then you point at a street light. You say, "What is that?" And they go, "That's a street light." No, that's a visual alarm clock. It means when that light goes on, it's time for you to go home. Dinner's ready. You know, they don't. You know, nobody plays outside anymore. Kids aren't being kids. They're literally being matrixed in their bedroom in front of their flat screen TV, playing, you know, crazy video games nonstop. And now they've got social media where they can become social media warriors and influencers. Like, God, I still can't believe that's a job. They can, they can basically go to war on social media, and now you've got social cyber bullying and all this other stuff. Look, that wasn't a thing back in the day. Only reason it's cyberbullying. How do we deal with it? Get rid of the cyber part and watch what happens after the bully part. Go back to the old way. Now you can go on Facebook and you can say whatever you want to say and get away with it. What happened to getting popped in the mouth when you said stuff like that? You changed your attitude. But now nobody's getting popped in the mouth. It's just free flowing nonsense that's unfortunately contagious.
Hey, Homestead Oz. Yeah, well, Chevo, the thing about and hello and welcome, Chevo. Check it out. So I'm not saying that the kids shouldn't play video games. I want my kids to have an opportunity to be kids, but this allowing kids to stay on games constantly, it's like the first thing they do when they come home from school. It's the first thing they want to do. It's the first thing they want. That's you'll go up there and they'll be on a video game all night long and don't even realize the time. They're like, I've only been on here a couple of hours. It's like, no, you've been on here 6.
Well,
What?
that video games are addicting.
Right.
They
Yeah.
actually kids get, people get, actually it's not even just kids but adults who are addicted to video games. They get dopamine spikes from when they play video games or when they win a game or something like that, and that stuff becomes addicting. It's just like taking a hit of Coke.
There's a difference in Miss Pac-Man and Galaga and Asteroids to the stuff they're playing now. I mean,
Yes.
there's like,
Right.
I can't even compare those two. Those are two completely separate animals. I mean, back then it was about knowledge and muscle memory and skill.
They're opting into disappearing into worlds where they can be the hero. They can
Right.
be the prime soldier. They can be the person who is going to save the world. They can be that super, super smart, tech guru that's going to save humanity. You know what I mean? So, and real life is just so hopeless for them that they're disappearing into that fantasy. And they're interfacing with the fantasy more and more and more, that they can no longer differentiate anything or reality versus fantasy. It's a frightening place to be in. And I mean, and if you even think about it, it could be what's fueling the widespread psychosis that we're seeing all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Just a suggestion.
Sorry about that. I thought I heard something.
It's part of culture now. It's ingrained into it's ingrained into every part of life. I mean, you literally can't function.
Why do you think they're starting to fit social justice stuff into the video games now? Because it's going to be a great way of brainwashing them.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
not only are they fitting it into the video games, it's being force-fed to them in school. And I mean, from the college level all the way down to kindergarten, this social justice. There are literally classes being offered this semester. I've got the email on my phone. It came from the college I used to attend. There's literally a class this semester. It's a requirement. It's everybody that's enrolled in the school has to take this class. It's a social awareness class. And I'm like, what? Yeah. It literally is taking over the function of providing education. Teachers aren't even allowed to teach class. Their job now is to regurgitate stuff that has been handed to them. There's a doctrine that comes down through the school board. This is what you're going to teach. This is how you're going to teach it. This is what you're going to say when you teach it. And these are the words you can no longer use in your classroom.
Well, I think that what a lot of people need to understand is, and Ghost, you're absolutely right about something. We're one of the main problems, because we have set back too long. Also, a couple of different things. One, we have been too worried about keeping up with the Jones. Two, the fact that I don't know, a lot of people are just don't want to have to fight with people. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to have to, they're like, man, that wears me out to You know, I mean, you see these peaceful protests of throughout the years of things going on, and these people would go there and for a long time now. Now I've heard people say, well, you know, it's because the conservative people are working. Well, that's true, but for a long time, when they would do these different things, these different rallies and pride parades and so forth, and this and that, and whatever it may be, well, a lot of them had jobs too, and they took off to go be there, you know. And what we did was we were too worried about taking off, or we didn't want to go down there and have to deal with it, you know. And now it's all in our face, you know. There's a lot to that, to understand that they've been doing this for a long time. This is not something we're going to fix overnight, but I really believe that one of the ways to start to fix it is number one, get your mind right and understand what must be done. You know, definitely, obviously, prepping. You know, when prepping well. You know, because when they throw this crap at us, these lockdowns, for instance, you know, when you're prepped properly, you don't have to go and fight the toilet paper wars of 2020. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go up there and fist fight somebody for you know a piece of freaking meat. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, and that's why I just think preparing your mind is so important. You know, to start to understand these things of what's going on, and it's like you can almost see, you know, it's been just long enough for this, and it's starting to die off. I know it's gonna happen again real soon. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not gonna stop doing what they're doing.
Well, the predictive, I mean, there are literally people in society at the upper levels of society that make a lot of money, and their job is to program people. Their job is predictive programming. Here's a couple examples for you. Number one, the word peaceful and protest should not even exist in the same sentence, because if we were peacefully getting along, there wouldn't be a need to protest. Okay, nobody's like, hey man, it's a really beautiful day today. What do you guys want to do? Well, I want to go to fishing, or I want to go to the mall. Hey dude, I got an idea. Why don't we get together and just have us protest? You know, just talk about whatever in a group. No, they interjected the word peaceful into protest, so that way they could decide what protests were going to be legal and what protests were going to be illegal. Then the illegal ones turned into riots. They completely changed the vernacular and actually put the word peaceful in front of protest. It's like when police officers get into it with a guy, and this blew my mind when I really thought about this. When they you know, group tackle some guy and just start tearing off and whooping his butt, what are the cops saying? What do you hear them say over and over? I don't mean just one of them. I mean all of them.
Stop resisting.
Stop. And the guy's not even resisting, but they're yelling at stop resisting. Why? It predictively programs you to think this dude just needs to stop fighting and do what the cops say. Plus, legally, it covers their butt. That's why they yell it, because then it's on
Yep.
camera. Stop resisting, stop resisting. Even though the person isn't resisting, that the police officers saying that gives them grounds to say that they were defending themselves. It gives them grounds to find the correct camera angle to where he was twisting his shoulder a certain way, trying to get free. It gives them grounds to say they were in fear, maybe in fear for their life. They, as soon as they lay hands on that person, whether he's face down in the dirt or unconscious, they start yelling, "Stop resisting!" They're trained, they're taught to do that.
Hmm.
Well, that's I don't know. You know, some of the stuff that I think that is a good way to look at things is almost becoming a pro, like a professional, versus being an amateur. Um, you know, if you're, when you, all right, so, let's, I'm gonna give this for an example, and this is a story a lot of people know. Some, and there may be some here that don't know this. I don't know, but you know, I, uh, I was married one time, and was happy, loved. That's all I wanted to do was when I got out of high school, man. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have a kid, some kids. I wanted to do the family thing, and then reality hit me in the face. Did get married and everything, and we chose to party a little too much, and then one day, um, she decided that we should change everything about what we were doing. And it was not a, well, hey, what parts do you think we should change? Should we change this? How should we do this? It was, we're doing it this way, or you can go, you can leave, kind of thing. Well, it was all shock to me. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. We always paid our bills and all that, and always had food. There was no problems there, but it was just she wanted to change the way we were doing things, and we ended up in a divorce, and I went into really getting heavy into the drugs, and I think that I wallowed in my sorrows, and thought, man, life is over, all this good stuff. And I think that was the amateur side of me. I was being an amateur. I was accepting the sorrow and the misery and the mediocre lifestyle. And when we got divorced and everything, you know, I went for a long time like that, and then I decided to change my life. Because I got tired of being in that misery and that sorrow. And let me tell you something, when I decided to change my lifestyle, this is the honest to God's truth to everyone out there. I had two shirts, one pair of pants, one pair of shoes, and a truck, a little Chevy S10 that the whole passenger side door was all caved in and wouldn't even open up. It was crushed in to where it couldn't open. And I moved everything I owned at 32 years old. I was 32 years old. I moved every single thing I owned in one truckload in that little S10. That's it. That's all I owned. And I was in a rent house. I was in a rent trailer where I'm gonna tell you, the day that I moved in there, it had a chalk line, so it's a little trailer park. There was, and there was some dumpsters right there. There was a chalk line right there of a guy that had been shot the night before, and still police tape there. And I moved into that trailer park. That's how bad it was. And I didn't have it had natural gas there in this particular trailer park. Well, I couldn't afford natural gas, so and it was wintertime, by the way. So I had to basically take cold showers. I mean, that's, to stay clean. I mean, I didn't have hot water. I didn't, I, so being an amateur and living in that mediocre, or um, yeah, I did have a job at that. Well, I had several jobs at that time because I lived in in squalor. I pitied myself. I was depressed. I allowed myself to stay down in that situation, to even to the point of, before I was able to get that little trailer, I actually lived in my truck for a couple of months. I slept in my truck in different parking lots and stuff. So I've been homeless. So, you know, anybody can come from that. Anybody can come out of misery. It just depends on, do you want to stay an amateur or do you want to go pro? You know, I decided to go pro. I decided that I was tired of being that lifestyle of, you know, of that squalor, of not having anything, you know, going 2 or 3 days without eating, because you know, I was spending all my money on drugs, you know, and partying. That's all I cared about, you know. And I just decided to do more for my life, and moved. And you know, um, you know, you got to discipline yourself for excellence. You know, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying that you know, everything is just completely perfect, but my lifestyle now is 1,000 times better than it was back then. Um, yes, I absolutely appreciate life more now. Um, you know, I really do. It made me, um, you know, I had to just I had to do things that was completely different than the lifestyle I was leading. You know what I'm saying? It was basically, I wanted to party. I wanted to have a good time. I wanted to be with the crowd, and you know, all this kind of stuff. But you know, the whole thing about it is, um, I had to change everything. I went from that big city lifestyle, doing all the stuff like that. You know what I went to? I moved into my parents' house at 32 years old, and they let me recover. Um, they let me recover and get over it and everything. And my dad, you know, he basically come to me and he was like, "Dude, you got to make a choice. You can either start living right, or you can hit the road and don't come back." And he made me make that choice, you know. And I wanted to change. I wanted to get better. It was hard. I mean, it was really hard, because, you know, my parents, they live on 40 acres, and it's off this side road. There was barely a security lamp up there. I mean, it went from all bright lights and all the stuff going on to total quiet. You know, it's freaking quiet out in the woods at night, you know, except for, you know, a you know, maybe a bobcat or something, you know, or whatever, you know, one of the nightingales, you know, night birds, you know, or something, you know. But otherwise it, you know, it was a hard change for me, but I wanted better. And I'm telling you, every single one of y'all out there that may go through this, or may have a kid going through this, or have a loved one going through this, I'm telling you right now, it can make you've got to understand, it is doable. Even in today's society, it is still doable to change. And you've got to put the hard work in. You've just got to want it. That's the problem. And squalling around and all this sensationalism that the freaking TV puts on for you, and all that stuff, you got to get away from that stuff. You got to set your mind to excellence. You got to find them things that you're good at, and then find the things that you're not good at and practice them. You know, and learn new hobbies, learn new things. It will make you feel so much better. Um, all of us, exactly, New York Outcasts, we all have room for improvement. I still do. I mean, look what I did. Freaking could have been over there, you know, with lockjaw. You know, just, I mean, that quick things can happen. But it's about it's about prepping that mind, you know, and that's why I keep saying your mind is very powerful. And if you let your mind go to all the nastiness, all the look what's going on around me, oh my gosh, everything's horrible, it's all terrible, then that's exactly what your life is going to be. When you pull your bootstraps up and you kick life right back in its hind end and you say, you know, I've had enough of this crap, by gosh, I'm going to make something, and I'm going to make it to where I'm happy. I'm going to do things to make myself happy. I'm telling you, you can do it. I yield. Go ahead. I got on a rant, sorry.
My mind is wandering with something. Let's see. Well, how many people out there are suicidal?
A lot.
There's a lot.
Well, I think that when it comes to addiction, I think we could probably safely say that you definitely weren't suicidal.
Me?
You ended up wanting to get better.
No, I actually stuck a gun to my head, a 45, and
But
with the hammer back and my finger on the trigger.
But you eventually decided you wanted to live.
Yes.
I think in order to kick an addiction, you have to literally, from the inside, decide that you want to live. And a lot of people either are too late in making that decision, or they never make it and then they succumb.
Yeah, there's some that do succumb to it, you know. I was lucky enough to have parents that I do that were there to support me, but it had to start with me. You know, it did. They could offer a place to stay, things like that, but they it had to start with me.
Do you think you would have made it if you had not had that support system?
Yes, but it would have took longer.
Do you think there's a possibility you could have accidentally overdosed before you figured it out?
Oh, there was a good possibility of that, yeah. Yes, there was. I mean, more of what I was doing crystal methamphetamine. So it was more of a chance of my heart exploding other than, well, I mean, I guess which would be an overdose, but I mean, even even a little bit, of the wrong mix can, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Could have made my heart explode. It's one of them things that I want people to understand out there, that there is still a way. There's hope. I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Red Tyrant Hunter, meth in Arkansas? I know, right? God, dog, man. I mean, it's guys. I mean, seriously, that's that. And I'm not saying that it's just for people with a drug problem or just for any certain problem. It's the negativity and the squalor that you keep yourself in that allows you to continue to go downhill, that you will not be able to recover from one day. If you never start with yourself, if you never decide that, you know what, I've had enough, there is a way out. There is a better life out there. Yeah, I know all this crap going on out there in the coof world and the all the crazies out there. You know what? But the thing about it is you can make that lifestyle right there at your house to where you don't have to go out and deal with all them jokers. You know, I don't. You know, when I go to the store, it's for a few items, man. I go in there, I get my stuff, I leave, and I'm out. I don't deal with these jokers. I go fishing. I play in my garden. You know, I go out there and tease Rudy Poot out there, my rooster. You know, I do tease him. He's going to get one of these days. I'm going to make a mistake and I'm going to go in there, and he's going to get me good. I know he is, man. But you know, you there is a way. There's hope. I'm telling you. But go ahead, Cheshire.
Oh, I
You
really
were
am not. I don't know if I had anything to say.
oh
um,
well.
well,
Well,
I mean, I hope you don't. I hope you don't perceive me as I'm being negative. But what I am trying to work out is how to help everybody, and everybody's situation
well,
is unique.
yes,
You know, how does a person, like, let's say, without a familial support system, break addiction? And an even tougher question, it might be a tougher pill that we all want to swallow, is do they even want to? We've got we have to understand that there's people out there that do not want to be saved. It's just a matter of whether or not we're willing to put up boundary against these people and just let them go and not take us with them.
right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's sometimes that you see, you know, I think putting in a good effort for them people is always good, you know. But there are times when you do have to realize that they don't want it. I mean, and you know that's where you know the support system is not any good if the person doesn't want that support system, you know. And that's why I say, um,
Let's
you
see.
know,
Jim, hang on a second. Jim Ken Pig says, God doesn't want you to give up on people. You know what? You got to give up on people who've given up on themselves. Ultimately, they are their own responsibility.
well,
So you are not responsible for people who are not responsible for themselves.
well, I think that what it is that you know, I think probably what he's trying to get at is that you know you have to try to help people, but when they don't want to be helped, you have to back away because sometimes you can drive them further away from you. I know this for because I did have people, you know, once in a while that would, you know, that I knew that I would run into that I knew from my past, you know, and they'd be like, dude, man, you know, you really need to, you know, clean up a little bit or whatever, yada yada. And I'd be like, man, I ain't trying to hear none of that, man. I'm having fun, you know. And I would just the next time I seen that person, I would head the other way, you know, kind of thing. But you also need what you need to do is I'm talking from experience from myself
Mm-hmm.
is give that person you know some attention and your thoughts and be like, hey, look, you know. And when they want you to back away, then you need to back away, but you need to let them know when you back away. You say, look, you know, if you ever do want to talk, I'm here for you. I will talk with you anytime. That's the kind of thing that you need to, you know, you need to make sure these people know. But other than that,
But you
um,
have to understand that some of these people are so far gone that they are a black hole of a person, and you cannot fill a black hole. You can't.
right,
They will destroy you right alongside with them.
that is true. Hey,
So I mean,
pinball charity.
so this idea, I
Hey,
won't
pinball.
give up on someone. I mean, if like, look, if they're blood or something like that, but if you're just a coworker, if you're some cat down the road, and if I've tried to help over and over and over again, and all you do is take and make my life hell, you're gone. It's not my
Right.
responsibility. And usually those people are those are the manipulative people that want to parasite off of society anyway. There has to be at some point where their survival is threatened if they don't start taking care of themselves.
Right.
Hey, Pinball.
So we're talking about we're going to be independent and free, and we're talking about all these dependent jokers that are wanting to control everybody and provide for them. But at the same time, people are like, well, you shouldn't walk away from someone who, yes, you should, and you can walk away from somebody who's giving you hell. Like, you got to know when to quit. And yes, ultimately, people are responsible for themselves.
Tiger 454, thank you so much.
I've
Go ahead.
been exposed to and around more addicts than I can actually count. I won't go into where, why, or how. I never had an issue with drugs. I've just never. I don't have an addicted personality. I mean, I'm just like whatever. But what I've learned, and I've heard people say it before, but I think it's worth mentioning, and I think it's worth listening deep, is that I don't care how strong your support system is. I don't care how financially well off your family is. It doesn't matter how much they love you or how many friends you have and all these positive influences in your life trying to steer you down the right road. Once you drink the Kool-Aid, and back with those I'm talking about, once you drink the Kool-Aid and cross over that tipping point, there is no help. Nobody can help you except yourself.
See
You
it.
have to hit rock bottom and you have to decide it's time to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff in the background, your family and friends and the ones throwing money and preaching rehab, that's just white noise. That's off in the distance. That's background noise. That's static. None of it matters until that person says, you know what? This is it. I've had enough. And if you have a really good support team, that's when it really kicks into gear and you watch somebody change. I've seen it happen in person with the same person where it was rehab over and over, and everybody's wanting to help, and that person's going, yeah, I want to get help, I want to get better. But at the same time, they were holding their hand out for a place to sleep, food to eat, you to turn your back so stuff could just go missing in your house. And then the cycle started again for another 3, 4, 5, 6 months. They would go away, everybody was mad, they would come back, and then they would start this fake redemption road. And it would just happen over and over for years and years and years until
Because
they hit rock bottom. And then when they want to change, that's when it really takes hold and it can actually happen.
Yep, they've got to be left in order to get to that point. And quite often what they're doing is they're going through this dance where there's, yes, I want help, but they're only doing it to manipulate you into providing them resources.
Oh, yeah. And they put
And supporting their lifestyle.
work.
So, those people are like, well, Jesus would never turn his, yeah, you've never been around an addict, or you've never been manipulated or abused by a narcissist. You've never had any experience with somebody psychopathic and playing a zero-sum game with you that's going to eventually result in your death if you don't get away from them. You have to experience something like that and have the trauma of something like that before you're going to understand exactly what I'm saying. It's called having personal boundaries. You have the right to them. And a lot of these people are manipulative and they just do nothing but violate personal boundaries. And if you want to get into the type that a lot of these leftists are, that are basically wanting to force this shit by government, then yeah, these are the kinds of people that we're talking about here. Yes, you should turn your back on them.
You have to. That's the best thing you can do for them. I know it sounds cruel, but it's like teaching a baby how to swim. You don't wait till it's old enough to understand English and you can explain to them the physics of buoyancy and how to float. You throw the kid in the pool and you're there to make sure they don't drown. And you start them early. That's when kids naturally know how to swim. It's a natural reflex. It's like a puppy. Throw it in the water. It's a natural reflex. You're born knowing how to do that. As you get older and you get your independence and you can walk and you can run and you can talk, you forget. I mean, you take somebody that's 10 years old that's never been in the water and a 6 weeks old baby and throw them in the pool and watch what happens. The 10-year-old's screaming, freaking, and he needs a lifeguard. That 2 week old baby's already rolled over onto its back and it's smiling and grinning. It may have choked a little bit, but it's just bobbing on the waves, having a good time.
What's up, Chris? Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing, man, is that, you can, depending on what type of help you give, you can be an enabler of because, they get that, sometimes when people reach out or they'll be coming down, and when they're coming down, they start to get that feeling, and you get emotional because you're tired, you've been up for a long time, and you get tired, and so, people, you start to talk to them when you get that feel good moment from them, oh man, somebody cares. All right, cool, and then when you wake up the next morning, you're like, shoot, I got some sleep, I feel good. Guess what? Fix to go get me some dope. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. You just, it's more of, no matter what, there are certain people and certain things that you have to, you if they're not willing to do it, anything you say or do is not going to, you're wasting your time. I mean, that's the whole point. If someone reaches out to you and they want that help, then yes, that's when you should give them the help. But until then, I mean, all you're doing basically is you're really wasting your time. I mean, that's the honest to God's truth. People have got to want to do this for themselves, and that's the whole thing of what I was getting at earlier about, why I told my story on this, is because I got tired of being in the dumps. I got tired of being that guy that people were looking at walking down the street with the sunk in eye cheeks and the freaking long hair. Y'all want to know something? Backwoods used to have hair down to the middle of his back and wore it in a double ponytail and all that. I was, I mean, I was a partier, man. I was out there, partying with everybody, and that's one of the things, man, is you've got to want to change. Yes, I still could have done it. It would have took me longer without the support of my parents, without that support group, but it can still be achieved. Everybody,
But
y'all have to, huh?
they did give you an ultimatum, though.
Yeah, but I that's what I'm saying. I wanted that ultimatum. That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
wanted that, and that's why I say I could have achieved it, but it would have taken me a lot longer to achieve what I wanted. What's up, Ghost?
I was just saying this, I like to study people and watch mannerisms and how they act and try to figure out what they want from me because everybody wants something. You know what I mean? You're dealing with an addict. It's really hilarious because you'll see, like, literally see how they act towards certain people. I mean, there's certain people like me. I mean, I gotta stone them all up. You know what I mean? You're not getting to me with that crap. I'm gonna see right through it. All right. Um, and so they stay away from me because they know they're not going to get any traction. It's not going to happen. It's not going to get anywhere. They'll prey on the people that they know they can get something from.
Yep.
But when the time comes and they hit rock bottom, guess who's the first person they call? That's when you know there's a change. Because they're going to reach out to somebody that's strong. They're going to reach out to somebody that they couldn't screw over. Usually they're going to reach out for that. Oh man, this is the dude I need to talk to because he's been calling, BS since day one. But it's kind of crazy because they're basically preying on a certain type of personality. But when it really comes time for help, that's when it gets real. At least in my experience.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that once you get to that bottom of that barrel, if you will make that decision of, what, I'm tired of being at the bottom of this barrel, down here with the old settlings, the old junk and crap that's settled down here, and you start to realize, you look around and there's nowhere else to go except up. That's it. There's nowhere else to go except up.
And from that position, the last people that you initially want to ask for help are the ones that you've already said it to 50 times and betrayed and lied to and took advantage of and stole from. Because you know why? You're embarrassed. Number one, you're embarrassed that you ever did it. Number two, you're thinking this might be the time they tell you no and you don't want to hear no. So that's when you go to that brick wall and you're like, I'm done. I'm done. You saw it. Everybody saw it. It's legit. It's real. How do I fix it? And then you get that. Then you get that good advice. That, well, you know what? Here's how you fix it. You know, but it's that's the tough love part, and that's the part that works.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, guys. Is that out there is we all know people in our lives that or been across people in our lives who have these problems, who and like I said, it's not just drugs. I mean, there are people who are addicted to the news media, and they freaking believe every single thing that comes out of them people's mouths. They're addicted to these Oprah Winfrey's and these Jerry Springers and all this stuff, and they um right on, Guardsman. That's what I say. Turn that frown upside down. And you know, that's the whole thing about it, man, is people are addicted to that stuff, man. They're addicted to the fear porn. They're addicted to so many things that are negative. And that's the thing that I'm trying to do, like in my videos and in my live streams, and Ghost, I know, is trying to do the same thing, is to show people things, to talk about this stuff, to show prepping, to show there's ways out. There's things that can really give you confidence and make you feel good. When you walk in there and you see a year's worth of food sitting on the shelf, man, that confidence level raises, because you're like, shoot, man, let them lock down. I don't care. Let them run out of meat up there to the store. I don't care, because I got food to eat. When you go out there and you start growing something, and it's this tiny little plant, or you go from a seed, and next you're out there with this huge freaking tomato plant, or this squash, zucchini, whatever it is you're growing, man. I mean, it gives you that self-worth. It gives you that confidence, and these are ways that you're turning yourself into a pro, and you're getting away from that amateur lifestyle.
Hey, while we got a break in the communication here, I need to go walk Buddy and
Okay.
my rabbits and check on the garden real quick and water everything. I'll be back. It may be
Okay.
15, 20 minutes, but it's
All
still
right.
here.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm actually needing to pop off. So
okay.
All right, somebody
That's
different place.
I'll hold it down. I'll
Arkansas.
hold down the fort.
okay.
Cheshire, thank you so much for coming up.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It was really a pleasure to be here.
I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening and everything. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you. You too. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right. Good
Bye
night.
bye. So yeah, that's one of the things, guys and gals, like I said, and I know a lot of y'all out there that's in this chat and everything, man. I see y'all. I see the things y'all are talking about, this chat and other chats and stuff. You guys got it going on, but also when I make some of these videos, when I'm talking to people, and I'm just talking to the camera, about having that positive attitude and things like that, I do get a lot of comments in there that, it was like, thank you, I really needed to hear this today. This really helps me out today. you know um that's that lets me know, that we're all we all get them days, you know, we all get them times when we get down, man, because of all the things that are going on out there in this world, you know, and shoot, man, I mean, even when it's as much as just working every day, and you come home and you got chores to do, and you're doing this, you're doing that, you know, maybe your wife or your husband, you know, comes home, and you know they're in a bad mood, and you're just tired, and then, you know, I mean, life happens, you know, every day, but keeping that positive attitude and keeping that forward direction, you know, is going to help you a lot. You know, one of the things that I like to do whenever I was working every day, I was working all them freaking hours, man. Golly, we was working so many hours. I'd be tired and I'd be grumpy, hungry. You know, we call it hangry around here. It's when you're hungry and you're mad. So, you know, I would step outside of my truck, and I would try to um, there we got this little tree in the front yard. And I know it's going to kind of sound weird. All right, I get it. But I would go out there and I would walk up to that tree, and I would I would do this thing where I would rub on one of the the leaf, and I would sit there and I would be like, man, you know, tree, please take all this ugliness and nastiness away from me for tonight, so that I can go in there and I can be something to my family, you know, something that is good to my family, you know, that I'm not angry, that I'm not upset, you know, and it ended up, it was just kind of a symbol to me, you know, it didn't really, I don't guess, do anything, you know, but as far as it goes for the tree actually taking my problems, but it did in my mind, and it I would go back out there in the morning, and I made that a habit for a while, you know. And I know, you know, I would go out there in the morning and I would rub that tree and be like, all right, taking this off, taking this burden back off of you, and I got this for the day. I'll be back this evening, you know. And it really did. Um, Chris, you wanna hop up for a minute? Did I give the tree a cute name? Well, I don't know. It's actually a pecan tree that I have in my front yard, and it's just starting. Last year it starting to drop some pecans, but they're still small and everything. But they're so here before long, I will be getting pecans in my front yard. Love it. Christopher Lazarick, you wanna come up for a minute? I didn't say preference. Yeah. So, you know, all right, Chris, I'll drop the link over here for you. Because I know Chris and I has talked about some stuff, and all right, right there it is. So yeah, you know, but that's the whole thing, you know, is that I would do that for my family, and you know, I couldn't always be perfect. I'm not perfect. You know, I would have times when I would still be angry, you know, about the day or whatever. But you know, we always gotta um, we always got to we always got to understand that forward thinking, you know, that I'm not gonna let this get me down. I'm not gonna let this beat me up. I'm not gonna allow this to happen, you know. Um, Life will kick the crap out of you, and you got to reach down and pull your bootstraps up and kick the crap out of it right back. You know, that's just the way it is. I see you down there. There he is.
What's up, brother?
How are you?
Enjoying another gloomy day.
Yeah,
I still got rains up here.
yeah. I've seen I seen your wife was doing a live stream earlier. I was working on some stuff for tonight, and also on the phone with someone, and so I had the live stream playing, but I was kind of busy on two different fronts there. So I seen she said it was raining and stuff.
Yeah,
She
I
was
think she was doing her Thrive with Lee. She's got a new
right.
channel.
Hey Lee,
Hey there, man. I missed you today.
I was there. I was watching and listening, but I was working on some stuff and also talking on the phone with some people and a couple of
That's how
different
I've
phone
been
calls.
too. I was
So,
just on there working on some stuff as well. So, but I wish I could have just said hi.
hey, well, I
I'm
did.
gonna go and do it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying when I it would have been too much for me to try to keep up with saying hi to everybody and then paying attention to
Yeah.
the person I was talking to, and so yeah, it was a I had a lot going on earlier today.
I know the feeling. It's how it's happening with me too. Just constant emails, phones. Daily life. It's a lot.
Right.
I'm glad to at least say hi to you before I go and do my other stuff.
All
Yeah,
right.
she's gonna do.
I gotta go do another video.
She's doing another.
Don't plug his channel.
Oh, I know.
I
I'm
don't
just.
want to push that stuff on someone else's.
I know. I'm
That's
just
not right.
to do another
Just another
Thrive video for her channel.
Oh yeah, no, it's fine. You're not hurting my feelings, none, man. We all got to get all this stuff out here. I'm gonna actually I was actually looking a little bit at that today and or listening a little bit, and I was going to look into some of that.
Brother, let me tell you, it's well worth it. It is well worth it. The shelf life is 20, 30 years, and you're not wasting any. Like how when you cook big meals, you're gonna have leftovers that you're not gonna want to eat. You're basically wasting food at that point, right?
Right.
With this stuff here, you can actually take what you're actually gonna eat for you and your family, and it is all you gotta do is just add a little bit of warm water, let it sit in there. It comes back to life, and it's fresh. Oh my God!
Wow. Cool. Homesteader Wolf, just got to call it a night. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with us. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I hope tomorrow, if you don't have to work, I hope you get a good relaxing day, because everybody and oh dang, this chat is jumping hard. Boy, it does it all the time, man. It'll like hesitate, and then it'll jump like 6 or 7 chats all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I don't know how to slow the chat down. That's not how to slow
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out how to slow the chat
I don't
down.
jump like that. I'm not yet there.
Well, all you got to do is like I just hover over the chat and then work the little up and down thing here on my mouse, where you can move the chat up and down to stop it so I can look, and then I'll go all the way down, to where it's says thanks for the positive psychological mind control. Well, I mean, it's really and truly, that's the whole thing is that preparing your mind, in all these forms is, man, that's the way. I mean, if you've got a car, if you've got a Mercedes out there that's sitting out there looking sweet on your carport and you don't know how to drive, what good's that Mercedes doing you? You know what I'm
It's not
saying? I
doing
mean,
any good.
yeah. So I mean, all this, learning your preps and learning how to do this stuff from a mental aspect of, that's why I say when you prepare your mind properly, all else will fall into place. And that's
And it
because,
did tonight for me.
huh?
And it did tonight for me. I started a fire in our fireplace using my ferro rod.
Hmm.
Didn't even use a lighter, nothing. Just
Right.
toilet paper tube with some lint. Got a fire going. Practicing my preps.
Well, I just wanted to, I wanted to focus last week and this week kind of on mental aspect of things, because it's one of them things, man, where a lot of people talk about being prepared, but how prepared are you? When that situation happens, do you freak out, or do you automatically go into that, hey, that's no problem, I know how to handle this, or that's not a problem, I'm not sure how to do this, but by golly, I'm gonna figure it out. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? The first rule is not to panic, in any situation. When the snowpocalypse thing happened, people were waiting until it started snowing before they went to buy groceries. And it's like, what are you doing? You should have got them 3 or 4 days ago when they were telling you this is going to hit. That's the kind of thing, preparing your mind, you can actually keep yourself out of a lot of problems, out of bad situations, because you understand
People
what's
don't
going
have a
on.
mindset. It's a mindset.
Right.
People up here in New England do it all the time. Like they'll wait till the last minute, right when it starts snowing. The
Mm-hmm.
stores are flooded. Everybody's getting out there, getting their last minute items that they need, and it's like y'all knew the storm was coming. Why didn't you go out before it got all crazy and crazy with people? It's and the weather up here changes. They say, oh, we could have a full on 3 feet of snow blizzard, and then turn around and get a dusting, and people
Right.
are all get all paranoid and crazy. And it's like, why be like that when you could just think ahead and get what you're gonna need, so you don't have to go out during a snowstorm?
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody thinks on that level like we do.
Well,
You know,
and right here, there is holes in every prepping, in all prep, there's
yeah.
all of us have holes in our preps, and that's why I say, mentally working on that, failing now and understanding what you did wrong and understanding, trying to use this certain item or whatever that you've got for prepping and figuring out, well, man, this really, it looked pretty, but it's worthless to me, so you might
Yep.
want to try something else, so yeah, it's all kind of that way, just
No, I got a speed bag downstairs, and every now and then I go downstairs and I tool away on my speed bag, to keep the hand-eye coordination going, because
right.
if you have to come to terms to where you have to face off with somebody hand to hand, you got to know the reaction time when you really have to throw down. That's another way of prepping, keeping your mind fresh. Hand-eye coordination. That's definitely a plus in prepping. We are never going to be fully prepped. There's always something to be learned or acquired. Yes, prep for it. That is very, very true.
Right, and that's exactly right, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying about this. Is that instead of submerging yourself in the negativity and listening to people be negative and people telling you, well, what are you prepping for? I mean, instead of listening to all that crap, submerge yourself into understanding. There's a lot to this stuff. There's a lot to being prepared. I say this all the time. I'm going to say it again. you carry a freaking spare tire in your car, don't you?
Yep.
You know, you don't carry a spare tire because, man, I know I'm going to have a flat today. It's because in case you do, you know,
You you never know.
yeah, it's a prep. You know, I don't have this um, extra food stored up because I know there's gonna, you know, this is gonna happen, but eventually, you know, there's something could happen, just like with a tire. You know, you're eventually gonna have a flat if you keep driving enough. You know,
Like, hey, let's say tonight we go to bed and we wake up tomorrow morning and we got 4 feet of snow on the ground all of a sudden, like a freak snowstorm came through overnight and we didn't know about it. Hey, half the people that don't prep, that have not even thinking of it, they can't get out of their house to get to the store to get what they need. Oh, what do I do now? You know what I mean?
right?
People, I try telling certain people that I know that like agree with what I'm saying and try to help them out. One of my coworkers, he actually turned around and he called me up and he said, "Hey, I had a pallet of water delivered to my house. Can you help me load it in my garage?" Dude, you actually did what I said? And he's like, "Yeah, I'm been on full on shopping sprees every day now." I'm like, because you never know, especially when you live in the hills and you can't get somewhere to get supplies. You have to shop extra and stock up on extra items because you're not always going to be able to get somewhere to get what you need.
Yep.
If you cut your arm open, you got to have a nice heavy duty first aid kit on hand so you can, hey, you know what? I can't get to the hospital because my driveway's got 4 feet of snow and I'm a mile away from the highway. I got to stop the bleeding. Okay, I can stitch it. I can cauterize the wound to stop the bleeding until I can get to the hospital or medical help and get to my house. People just don't think. It's in my mind everywhere I go. I'm always thinking of every scenario. Like, okay, I'm here. What could happen here? Okay, how am I going to get out of it? Like we had that conversation one night when you asked me that question. You're like, now, if your business trip is 9 hours away, going a long way, but going through the city at 6 hours, what do you do if a big something happens? I keep playing it in my head every day, all day. I'm always thinking because you never know what's gonna happen at any given second of that day.
Right. That's right.
Every day when you wake up, it's a blessing from God. When you wake up and you take that first morning breath, and then from then on, it's up to you to make the right choices on how to get through that day without any negativity.
That's right.
Right, Ghost?
Yes, sir.
Dude, our potatoes are going crazy, man.
Yeah, mine too. I just went out and checked on my rabbits in my garden. Something was digging in one of my tomatoes. I don't know what it was, but didn't seem to do any damage. Just moved some dirt around.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it too.
yeah, that could be disastrous. Yes, you did make me laugh, T girl. You had me rolling over here, T girl. I'm still kind of laughing at that one.
But no, I have to say, our garden, for what we've done so far, it's actually everything's growing. The radishes are popping up. She's been picking them every other day. We got 4 strawberries ready to be picked, and
Sweet.
no, the peas are blooming. Everything's just growing the way it's supposed to now. It's finally taken off to where we want it, and I'm stoked. I'm happy.
Yeah, we got it. I got a good little
potato pots here. We can't put no more soil on them. We need to get bigger pots for the next go around.
I got about 20 minutes of good rain yesterday, and everything blew up. Got that good rainwater on it, and it's looking real good.
Yeah, it's been raining since Friday night here, and it gets heavy at times, and then it lightens up, and it's a mist, and Yeah, it's getting a good healthy dose of that rainwater. Our garlic's even popping through now. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah,
The garlic.
I got about 2 months, and I'll be ready to flip my potatoes over. They got 60 days in the ground tomorrow, so I got about 2 more months, and it'll be time to eat some potatoes.
Oh, I can't wait to get our first potato out.
Me too. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, yeah. The growing pots that she did, the fabric ones, they're packed. She kept adding soil on every time it bloomed through. Put more soil on it, bloomed through again, and they were just taking off like crazy. I'm like, we're gonna need bigger pots. And then I pointed to one of the grow boxes I made that I recently made. We're gonna make more, and I think we're just gonna use one. I'm gonna make a 3-foot deep one and just use that just for potatoes. So they have the space to branch out and just go crazy, just load right up.
Right. That'll be
It
good.
just would be awesome. I'm kind of bummed because of the weather. I mean, I wanted to get out there and actually work on the greenhouse, but I'm not gonna fight with Mother Nature.
Well, was it lightning?
No, it's not lightning. It's just constant rain where
So
I can't really build anything outside.
why not? Are you sugar? You gonna melt?
Yeah.
Oh, but
Would you go fishing?
I'm gonna work with lumber and make sure everything's gonna go the way it wants to. I'd rather have it nice and dry, dry conditions to do the right building. But I did replace my cellar stairs in the bulkhead.
I'm giving you a hard time.
I know.
I was just gonna say, I bet, would you not go fishing because it was raining?
I thought about going this morning, but I just wanted to relax.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
It's like 45 degrees all day, man. It's been chill. It's like, what the hell is up with this weather? Here we go again. Oh, let's see what happens tomorrow morning when I wake up. I might go throw a few lines.
For 3 hours.
Well, I don't know. Prepper Tribe's on live, and we've been on for over 2 hours now. And
Is it addicting?
Yeah, it is.
yeah, I like to kind of keep it at around 2 hours because, I actually, when we keep it around 2 hours, we actually get more people watching later on, other than, it's kind of look at a 5-hour live stream and you're like, man, I ain't clicking on that. I ain't got time for that, but 2 hour when, sometimes people watch some of it, and we like to put out information, for people, and, they're more likely to listen and get that information than, if they look and see it's a 5-hour stream, they're like, man, screw that,
Yeah. And at that point, you really don't know what they're talking about or what you're end up walking into.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat, if y'all didn't hear that, we're going to go hang out with Prepper Tribe and Nisi Tribe. We're not going to try to get them shut down.
Right. Yeah, we want to. Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. We've been on 2 hours, and I like Prepper Tribe and stuff, so I wanna go over and show support to him and let him know I'm there in the chat and listening and everything. So I can't say thank you enough for everybody that first off that done any super chats tonight. Thank you so much. And then. Oh yeah, Celeste G. Yeah, I'm okay, but it could have been bad. If I would have failed and not caught myself and maybe landed on my face on them screws, or I mean, one of them could have hit me. I had safety glasses on, but one of them could have went and poked me in the temple. I mean, it could have been a bad deal, and it's just something I wanted to talk about at the first of the stream and admit my mistake. For not having a freaking first aid kit. You know, I'm shame on me on that one. That was my bad, and it won't happen again because I went and built one. I built a nice little kit carrier. So
yeah, Lee said you could blame that one on me.
well, Red Tyrant Hunter, I was weed eating. I've been helping a guy with lawn care, and we went and done a yard that hadn't been done this year. And this particular person was going to have grandkids over and stuff this weekend, so they were really wanting their yard done. So we went over there to do their yard, and while traipsing through the weeds trying to weed eat everything down, I stepped on a loose rock, and it come out from under me, you know. And when I went to put my hand down to catch myself, I stuck my hand down on it was an old railing on the porch, and the two before was at the bottom, and it had screws sticking up. Look right there. I stuck that screw all the way into my hand right there.
Yeah,
You know,
that could have been way worse.
yeah. So, you know, anyway, guys and gals, everybody, thank y'all so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Not a problem, man. Not a problem, brother. I'm always down with you.
Everybody, yeah, and everybody out there, you know, we do really appreciate y'all being here. Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, you know, we've said this before and I'll say it again, man. We would just be two old fellers talking to each other if y'all weren't here. So we do appreciate it. You know, we do appreciate it.
Definitely.
So, Ghost, you got anything coming up or anything just you want to?
No, not really. I mean, I'll see you guys again next Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I just want to let you guys know that my wife Lee said that you guys are awesome. We love you.
We love you too, brother, and we love y'all.
So we'll see you over at Tribes.
All right, sounds great, everybody. Thank y'all so much. We'll see y'all on the next one.
You got it. Later.
Remember, when you prepare your mind properly, all else will fall into place.